Hello, everyone. Welcome to Town Talk Tampa Bay. I'm your host, Sharon Preston-Folta. And today I am very happy to welcome our guest, Walter Gilbert. He's the candidate for District 1 for the Charter Review Board. Good morning, Walter. Good morning, Walter. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. So, first and foremost, I always want to ask everyone during this time, how are you and your family doing through the pandemic?
So far, so good. Nobody's, well, you know what? I just got some, not bad news, but a little setback. I have a grandson who plays for the University of Minnesota.
Hmm.
2 days before their first game, he came up positive. So he won't be able to play this weekend and probably for the next 20 days.
Well, the good news is that they've tested, they've caught it. Unfortunately, he's missing the game.
Yes.
Thankfully, he's able to now to recover.
Yeah, his symptoms are minimal. So we're praying for the best.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Well, I want to ask you, are you new to this county, or have you been here for a while?
Born and raised.
Born and raised.
Born and raised. Been here most of my life, except for when I was away for school and a brief stay in Chicago on my career path.
Mm-hmm. And what made you decide to serve on the Charter Review Board?
Well, my activity in local politics goes back to my mother being Miss in everything and dragging my sister and I around as kids to all these meetings, NAACP, different club meetings, protests. It's kind of was raised up in me. I eventually got involved in politics here locally when I became president of Sarasota County NAACP. I also was on the Housing Authority Board. I also was on different boards throughout the community. Uh, I served on as president of NAACP when we got single member district voting established here in the city of Sarasota through a federal lawsuit. So I've been involved locally forever in everything.
Mm-hmm. And you feel that this is the next opportunity for you to serve, being on the Charter Review Board.
I think the Charter Review Board is the next opportunity for us as minorities to get involved in county politics. County politics has not been a thing that the minority community has been very much involved into or been welcome to be involved in. So, sometimes you have to knock on the door and get a crack in the door, get your foot in the door, and then push it all the way open. So, I'm hoping to get a foot in the door of county politics by getting on Charter Review Board.
Mm-hmm. And if elected, what are some of your top priorities, during the year, during your term on the board?
Well, one of the first thing that really piqued my interest in this particular position is it's a partisan race. I see no reason for a committee or a board such as the Charter Review Board to be partisan. Partisan politics is what's causing a whole lot of grief at every level of politics now. So my first thing would be to see, can we get this thing maybe a appointed position or at least a nonpartisan voting position.
Well, you say it's partisan and it's for District 1. I think a lot of it, as you're saying, minorities have not been welcome.
Correct.
So, getting to the table like you're doing really is that step.
Mhm.
So, it's absolutely the right move, and thank you for doing that. Um, in your opinion, do you think the Charter Review Board should be proactive in initiating changes, or how do you think that they should work and work best where it's really amplifying the voice of the people?
Well, that's part of the problem I think the Charter Review Board has now. They sit back and they wait for issues and suggestions and ideas to come to them instead of being, as you say, proactive. Uh, that's part of what's happened by this review board being a political board that serves the political powers to be. So if the political powers to be, and this is my look at it, have a certain way they want things to go, and you don't have a charter review board that's being proactive, they're just going along with the commission, so to speak. They're not bringing suggestions and ideas to the table, or things, recommendations that will make the charter and the county work better.
Okay, and for the county, for all divisions, you don't feel that there are being initiatives and recommendations made, especially for the district that you serve.
Well, especially for the district that I'm running to serve also, but especially for the entire county. You have 10 seats right now on the Charter Review Board, and every one of them is held by a Republican. 10 seats. So who's going to say something or even suggest something that's not the status quo? Not one of those guys or ladies. They're all the same. They're all backing the same position, so to speak. So there's no diversity. There's no different voice there. At least a different voice. At least a voice that's not tied to the machine that's running the county as we speak.
Okay, and
out of 10 seats, and every one of them is Republican. And I understand we live in a Republican area and everything like that. But for a charter review board to be that partisan, I don't think bodes well for the county and what we could get done here.
okay, absolutely, and it's really not representative of all of the people, as you said.
Exactly. And it goes beyond the political thing, all the people.
So, outside of changing the partisan nature of the board, what other recommendations would you make to make changes?
As I said, I think it probably should be an appointed board, a fairly appointed board. And then some people might say, how can you get a fairly appointed board? Then you have more people that are interested in doing it. There's a lot of people that have not taken the step that I've taken simply because they figure, well, if I'm not a Republican, there's no way I get elected. There's no way I could get on that board. So there's a lot of qualified and interested in wanting to serve people that don't even take that step simply because of that. So that would be one of the first things, and one of the biggest things I would like to see different is actually get this to be maybe an appointed board.
So if it's appointed, because I can see that could also continue to lead to the same problems, because who's doing the appointing?
Yeah, that is one aspect of it, but at least you would have more people attempting to serve from different segments of our community. Because like I said, you got a lot of people. In fact, people said it to me, you're not going to get elected, simply because you're not a Republican. So that at least that will be thrown out the window. We could deal with who and how they're appointing. We can make some mechanisms in there that probably would assure a more fair group of people on that board.
Yeah, because I would think that would have to be put in place if it's an appointed position.
Exactly.
I can see the same results happening if you don't.
And I've done some research with other boards across Florida, and we have other charter review boards in other major cities and counties in our state that do appoint their board members, and they're nonpartisan. So there's some things to look at, or some people that's already done this that we could review. That's a good word, right? Charter review board. There we can review to figure out the best route to go. There's stuff out there that we can look at and analyze.
Okay. And that's a good point to bring up, because it's not that you're trying to reinvent the wheel. There are people out there that have done this, and it makes a more representative board.
Exactly.
Any other changes that you would make? How about the term limits?
The term limits, I think, are fine because it's staggered. You got one member that does 4. You got one member from each. You got two members from each district. You got one member that does a 2-year term, and you have one member from each district that does a 4-year term. I don't see a problem with that right now.
Okay, because when you appoint, you have the opportunity to, and there are some that would suggest a longer term, maybe versus the 4-year term.
And one thing I might look at or would be interested in discussing is the number of meetings they have. Right now, they do 4 year, and maybe add another two to that. I think to get a little more flow going with this thing. Uh, Charter Review Board has been a stepping stone type board for people that want to go to other positions in county government. So one thing that happens there that gives people just a little quiet moment to get to another position. But I think if we do it the other way that we're talking about, you'll get people that's not really looking to use it as a stepping stone. They're stepping stone that really want to serve.
Gotcha. And there was a recent meeting, and
Yeah.
so what's your opinion on some of the changes that have already been pushed through?
And that's exactly what they were put through. Uh, see, that's the bad part about the Charter Review Board is that even when I announced that I was going to be attempting to be elected to this board, most of the people I knew go, "What's the Charter Review Board?" They don't even know what it does or how it exists or how it works. And we saw how badly it works at this last meeting. They pushed through several of their topics and agendas they had been working on to really limit it, what the Charter Review Board can do, and what and limited the access that the public had to address what the Charter Review Board was doing. And that's because you got one party sitting there. All the members are from the same party, and they're addressing what the county commission wants done. So there was nobody on that board to say, "Hey, let's look at this and really talk about it." And I was unfortunately not able to attend that meeting, but the reports I got from it, most of the public comments were pretty well squashed.
Exactly. And one thing that really stuck out to me is that they've changed the amount of voters, to sign a petition.
Yes, they limited the well, it's not. It's one way to look at it. They limited the way voter petition would be handled as far as the number of people that have to sign the petition and the time limit to get it
Right.
in. And all that points to keeping people out of their government.
Exactly. That's a big change. That was a big deal.
That's a huge change. But when you have one party and one group of people in power with nobody questioning it, so to speak, they get to do things like that. And that's why I'm interested in getting on the board. At least somebody to say, "Wait a minute, let's take a look at it." Make
Right.
a little noise. But the question, when every vote is unanimous, that's not good. Somebody in there got to be saying, "Hey."
Well, and the point that I'm making is that what was changed is that 10% of registered voters in each district would have to sign the petition rather than 10% countywide.
Countywide, exactly. And
So,
that right there should send up red flags to everybody.
mhm,
Why
yeah.
would they want to do it like that?
Well, and the obvious reason, the less input, the more they get to do what the agenda, whatever agenda
Yeah,
is.
it's easier for them to get it done in that manner than rather than countywide. It just makes it easier for the powers to be to get done what they want to get done.
hmm And it even seems, that even when people speak up, they're not heard,
Yeah.
so,
So anytime they're making it harder and easier, we should question it. And that's the same thing if you look at how they try to repress voting privileges. Anytime they should be making it easier to vote instead of trying to make it harder. So the question should always be, why are you making it? And that's the same thing with this process that the Charter Review Board just rammed down our throats.
Wow. So, how's it been campaigning for you? You know, in this age of COVID, you can't get out there and shake hands and have in-person meetings and.
Well, first of all, thanks to programs like yours, it's still necessary. I'm still able to answer some questions. People see my face and see how nice and happy I am to be wanting to serve them without actually shaking their hand. But it has been a different. I ran for city commissioner 3 times back in the '80s, and
Mhm.
in the process of us getting single member district voting, just to prove that a black person couldn't get elected without a district. You know, at large, they can always keep going getting votes. You know, when it's a numbers game. And so I did learn how to campaign and learn how to get out in the streets. So this time it was a little different, and I had to kind of adjust my game plan. And but it's been fun. It's been interesting. I've talked Zoom wise with a lot of people, as I spoke earlier. I'm a Zoom professional right now, so uh, it's a new world. New world.
And are you getting the reception or people feeling, yeah, this is, it's been too long, or are they, kind of concerned or and resigned that just nothing
Well,
changed?
well, that meeting happened that we just got to discussing really sort of brought this to the forefront. Because, like I said, a lot of people on the Charter Review Board, what do they do? And
Hmm.
once I was able to explain to a lot of different groups exactly what it is and how they work, it got better. It was hard at first because, like I said, most people didn't have any idea how it works and who the Charter Review Board is.
Right, right. So explaining what it is, then they realize, oh, this is important. This is
Yeah,
something that we need to know, and this is something that we need to be involved in.
exactly. And at least listen to and learn what they are and what they do and how
Mhm.
they're elected, the whole process.
Gotcha. So, what other, as far as being, having people appointed to the board, what are some of the other important changes or suggestions you want to make? Um,
Well, you know, and to be perfectly honest, it's going to be a education for me also. Once I get involved, I've been researching and trying to learn as much about this board as I can. Quite frankly, just like everybody else, I knew it exists, but exactly what it could and couldn't do, I had to, start brushing up on that. So
mhm.
I get on and realize exactly the process and everything we can do I'm sure there's going to be a number of things that I can probably bring to the table that is not being brought up right now, simply because I'll be looking at it from a different seat than everybody else that's on that board currently, even as my opponent who is running against me. She's going to be looking at it like the other 9 that's there now. So uh, I'm sure there's some things that I'm going to find out. Once you get in the house, then you can see what the furniture looks like, right?
That's right. Right. It's one thing to see the floor plan on the outside, but you got to get inside the space to see
Yeah.
exactly where you want to, move
So,
things.
so I learned a long time ago not to make any promises that you can't keep. As far as what I plan to do or what changes I want to make, that's going to be a whole lot of once I get inside the house kind of thing. So.
No, and I realize that, but just adding to some of the observations, the term limit, being appointed, those kind of observations.
Yeah, I think those are major.
Right, right. And also, as you said, adding more meetings.
Yes,
More meetings for, people to hear what's going on, be more visible.
exactly. And it gives you more opportunity to talk about the issues. 4 times a year, I get it, but still, Sarasota County is growing so fast. Things are changing so fast. The way things need to be done needs to be done faster. just to keep up. The Charter Review Board plays a big role in how things are done. So,
Mhm.
there's stuff to talk about and things to do, and a couple more meetings a year will not kill anybody.
Okay, well, how do you plan to spend these last 10 days of campaigning?
I have a few more Zooms. I have a couple of events that is going to be out in the open air that I have to attend or I plan on attending. And Facebook and social media is my friend. So
Gotcha.
campaigning is done like that now.
Very good. Yeah, so yeah, you're right. Social media, you really need to, be active there and reach out to people there and have them get to know you.
Yes.
So, what else would you like to tell us about you?
Well,
And really your background, like, we know that you're a community organizer and you've been active in NAACP president. Um, but you have so much more in your background, that makes you a well-rounded candidate. So just tell us a little bit more about that.
like I said, I was born and raised here in Sarasota, grew up here. I originally attended Booker High School during segregation. I was a 10th grader when integration came and the community was divided and half of the kids were sent to one school district and the other half to the other. I participated in the boycott to keep Booker established as a school, not just closed down like the county wanted to do. Um, I went away to school. I came back home after working in Chicago for 5 years, and I started a career here. And my careers here have been a lot of different careers, but I coached high school football at Sarasota High School. I was the president of Sarasota Redskins Youth Football Organization. Uh, I was inducted into the Semi-Pro Football Hall of Fame. I forget what year. So I've done a lot of things. I've basically raised my family here and been involved in Sarasota community life all these years. So, uh,
And you're a
certainly,
businessman, correct? You own
yeah,
your own business.
I am also a licensed private investigator. That's my profession as we speak. Uh, but I'm involved with New Talent Live with Miss Odom, who's starting a Black Cultural Center and History Museum, and we're working on all sort of projects here locally. So uh, I'm all over the place. I can't stay still and won't stay still. So I like serving the community. I like talking to people, and if I'm elected, that's what I will be doing, serving this community on that charter review board and bringing a different voice and a different look in more ways than one, adding some diversity to our county government, which is much needed and way overdue.
Yeah, and I was going to say way overdue because, as you say, we're growing in leaps and bounds here in Sarasota County, and our, demographic makeup is not represented,
Right,
in
right.
many governmental areas.
Yeah.
The diversity that's
Sarasota's
going
not
on.
that sleepy little fishing village it was when I was a kid here. Dirt roads, ditches, things like that. That Sarasota is not the place I grew up in, and it should keep up with the progress equally across the board. Everybody should be involved in enjoying what Sarasota is becoming. So that's one of my dreams and one of the things I work on all these different committees and stuff for. Also work at Selby Gardens in their community engagement. I'm their community engagement director, and we're doing some things over there to help push that. They just came out with a huge diversity program and mission statement that we're going to be doing through Selby, and we're hoping that other businesses and entities like Selby pick up on this diversity thing that we're establishing. So it should be big, and it's all to help Sarasota be a sweet place for everybody, not just some.
Well, Walter, I thank you for taking the time to be with me and for letting everyone know who you are and why you can make a difference. So tell us how to stay in touch with you, through social media and your website.
I have a site called Elect Walter Gilbert, Sarasota County Charter Review Board, and you can see that on that Facebook site. And it's my page, and I keep every bit of information I can on it as I get to this end of the road on this campaign. So I'm always there. And any other time you can reach me at, I won't put my phone number out, but that's the best place to reach me.
Hold on one second. It just, hello? Go ahead. Can you hear me, Walter?
Yes, I hear you.
Great. So, everyone, you heard how to get in touch with Walter and keep up with him. I want to wish you all the best out there in these last few days of campaigning. And really, I want to thank you for putting yourself out there always throughout the years.
Thank you so much.
Right now, and wanting to make a difference, on the Charter Review Board and just to do the work that you're doing because, I know you're coming up against a lot of opposition.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. To say the least, right?
That's part of it. That's the way it's always been. I don't take it no other way.
Okay. Well, Walter Gilbert, thank you so much for being my guest today on Town Talk Tampa Bay. I wish you all the best.
Thanks for having me. Good morning.
Okay, take care.
Okay, is your music playing?
I'm getting ready to put it on. Okay. Not sure what happened. Like all of a
You hear
sudden.
static?
Yeah. So it was